ultimately, this whole climate change issue is just another example of what happens when people reject God's word and build their thinking on man's word. And so those who believe in millions of years and believe in evolution, they're using all of that and those assumptions and beliefs to interpret what is happening in the present. And if their assumptions are wrong, if their foundation is wrong, their interpretation is wrong. And their assumptions are wrong. Their foundation is wrong. They've got the wrong foundation. You don't look at today's world and say, how do you fit that with the Bible? You look at God's word and say, why is the world the way it is? When people ask me, do I believe in climate change? I say, of course I do. There's been climate change ever since the flood, massive climate change. And then the flood generated an ice age that caused massive climate change. If you reject the events of history that the Bible records, which the secularists do, you'll get it totally wrong in regard to what's happening in our world in regard to climate. After the flood, God made a promise. And the promise he made to Noah was, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, summer and winter, nighttime, daytime. I mean, while the earth remains, day and night is not going to cease. Summer and winter is not going to cease. Seed time and harvest is not going to cease. In other words, man's not going to destroy the earth. But then from a scientific perspective, Jessica, does it look like the earth's going to be destroyed?
No, it doesn't. And I think there's also an important creator-creature distinction that needs to be made too. So much of the claim in regards to the climate change narrative really elevates planet over people. And so it's an exaltation of creaturely worship rather than looking to our creator who is in control of everything. And when we look at the scientific data, we don't see that narrative claim either. And Ken mentioned Al Gore. Well, he's made predictions about Arctic ice being depleted. And when we look at data sets like Snow and Ice Data Center, you can go on their website and you can actually see that the Arctic summer sea ice this past summer in 2023 was actually higher than the previous 10-year average. But you don't hear about them showing that information in the actual data that they're presenting. It's just sensationalist claims that the ice is receding, that polar bears are going to be decimated as a result of that. Polar bears are used as a mascot for garnering empathetic responses, especially in children's programming a lot. But polar bears are flourishing. Their populations are striving. They're doing just fine.
This whole climate change agenda is an example of what's stated in Romans 1, where God says when people rebel against the creator and they worship the creature rather than the creator, then God turns them over to foolish things. And a lot of what they're saying about what's happening in regard to climate is foolish. It's the war on God. That's what it's all about.